Long before Paris or London became symbols of European greatness, there was Córdoba, a city of light, learning, and power that stunned the medieval world. In the early Middle Ages, while much of Europe was still emerging from political collapse and fragmentation, one city in the Iberian Peninsula was becoming one of the most sophisticated urban centers in the world. That city was Córdoba. At its height, Córdoba was the capital of Al-Andalus, the Muslim-ruled territories of Iberia. It was known for its wealth, its beauty, its scholarship, and its scale. Travelers described a city of paved streets, public baths, gardens, libraries, markets, and dazzling architecture. In an age when many European cities were small, dirty, and unstable, Córdoba stood apart. So how did Córdoba become the greatest city in Europe? The story begins in the year 701, when Muslim forces crossed from North Africa into the Iberian Peninsula. Over the following years, the Visigothic kingdom collapsed, and much of Iberia came under Muslim rule. But Córdoba's true rise began later, with the arrival of a man named Abd al-Rahman I. Abd al-Rahman was an Umayyad prince, fleeing the destruction of his dynasty in the east. After escaping across North Africa, he reached Iberia and in 756 established an independent emirate in Córdoba. That decision transformed the city into the political heart of Al-Andalus. Under Umayyad rule, Córdoba grew rapidly. It became not just a seat of power, but a center of administration, trade, and culture. Its rulers invested in infrastructure, agriculture, architecture, and intellectual life. New irrigation systems improved farming. Trade routes connected the city to North Africa, the Mediterranean, and beyond. Goods, ideas, and people flowed into Córdoba. One of the clearest symbols of this transformation was the Great Mosque of Córdoba. Begun under Abd al-Rahman I and expanded by later rulers, it became one of the most extraordinary buildings in the Islamic world. Its red and white arches, vast prayer hall, and refined design reflected both power and ambition. It was more than a place of worship. It was a statement. Córdoba was a capital of civilization. By the 10th century, that claim was hard to deny. In 929, Abd al-Rahman III declared himself caliph, elevating Córdoba from an emirate to the capital of a caliphate. This was a turning point. Under his rule and that of his son Al-Hakam II, Córdoba entered its golden age. The city became famous for its size. Some historical accounts, though likely exaggerated, describe hundreds of thousands of inhabitants. Even if those numbers were inflated, there is little doubt that Córdoba was among the largest cities in Europe at the time. Its urban life impressed visitors. Streets were lit at night. There were bathhouses, workshops, fountains, and carefully maintained roads. Its markets sold textiles, ceramics, leather, spices, and luxury goods. Skilled artisans worked alongside merchants and scholars. But what truly made Córdoba exceptional was not only its wealth, it was its knowledge. Córdoba became one of the greatest intellectual centers of the medieval world. Its rulers collected books on a massive scale. Al-Hakam II was famous for his library, which reportedly held hundreds of thousands of volumes. Scholars came to study theology, medicine, astronomy, mathematics, philosophy, poetry, and law. This was a city where learning mattered. Arabic was the language of administration and high culture, but Córdoba was also home to Muslims, Christians, and Jews. Relations between communities were not always equal or peaceful, and the idea of perfect harmony is a myth. Still, compared with many other medieval societies, Al-Andalus created conditions in which multiple traditions could interact, exchange ideas, and contribute to urban life. That exchange helped make Córdoba a bridge of knowledge. Works from the Greek world, preserved and developed through Arabic scholarship, would later influence Latin Europe through translation and transmission from places like Al-Andalus. Córdoba's prestige was not just intellectual, it was also political and ceremonial. Outside the city, the rulers of Al-Andalus built Madinat al-Zahra, a vast palace city meant to display the wealth and authority of the caliphate. It was an architectural masterpiece and a symbol of Córdoba's supremacy. For a time, the city seemed unmatched. But greatness is fragile. By the late 10th and early 11th centuries, internal rivalries, succession struggles, and political instability weakened the caliphate. After the death of the powerful statesman Al-Manzur and the crises that followed, Córdoba entered a period of civil war known as the Fitna. The caliphate fractured and the city's political dominance declined. Although Córdoba remained important, it never fully recovered its former position as the unrivaled center of power in Iberia. Over time, authority shifted to rival Taifa kingdoms and later to other dynasties and cities. Yet Córdoba's legacy endured. Its architecture survived in altered form. Its intellectual influence spread far beyond Iberia. Its example challenged the idea that medieval Europe was shaped only in the north. For a remarkable period, one of Europe's greatest cities was a Muslim city in Spain, urban, cultured, connected, and brilliant. Córdoba became the greatest city in Europe because it sat at the crossroads of power, trade, and knowledge. It had ambitious rulers, global connections, advanced agriculture, monumental architecture, and a deep respect for learning. It was not perfect, and it was not eternal. But at its height, it was one of the brightest lights of the medieval world. And that is what makes Córdoba unforgettable. If you want more stories about forgotten empires, hidden history, and the shadows of the past, subscribe to History Shadow Files.